Jeff, you lost some hair. What's going on?
I put in too many crystal balls, and so I had to make my head look like one.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, it's shiny.
It worked. Jeff
nice.
is not with us today. For everybody watching and everybody listening later, Jeff is not with us. He had some work to do. He's putting in those crystal balls. Let's hope this is going to be beneficial for all of us later on. But we have our number one. Well, you said last minute stand-in, but I would say our number one stand-in whenever we need somebody to fill in.
I mean, pretty much our only stand-in. Like,
yeah.
Let's be honest.
Always the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you're in the wedding party, buddy. Could be worse.
Hey, I do have a bone to pick with you, though. You haven't been to a game yet this year. I know it's far, but come on.
I know. I've had some family issues down in DC that I've been having to deal with. So,
but they're in DC.
It's on the way.
So,
it's perfect.
Yeah, man.
But I'm having to try to help take care of someone, so it's a little hard to, Sorry, Aunt Rose. I gotta go to a football game.
You're not a real fan. Not a real fan.
I mean, like we're all at that age now where it feels like every time something goes like, I got a thing I gotta take.
But if it was a lacrosse game,
you'd been there.
Oh, so I see how it is. That's just a priority thing. That's all it is. The cross game, he'd be there. He'd be there ahead of time, just waiting, hanging out. But now,
Paul, I got to give you credit, man. You're the one that asked the lacrosse question last week to Dante.
I had it pressed to go, but
I did. I mean, it's fast. I mean, look, you know my spiel with the non-revs, but to be able to pull off being on like a freaking GOAT elite level lacrosse team and play like Big Ten football at the same time is insane. It's literally insane. I don't know how he even pulled it off for like the year he did both, right?
Yeah, he did both. What, 2023?
Yeah. And it's insane. I don't know how he pulled it off. So that's just a mad respect for me.
There's a guy at Notre Dame who's a sophomore this year. He plays on their football team. He did it last year as well. He played football and lacrosse last year. He's their starting slot receiver, but he got injured in football this past weekend. You gotta wonder how that affects.
Hey, that's good for Terps lacrosse because Notre Dame is the two-time defending champion. See, I know this.
Paul's going to be like,
I don't know. I remember only thing I could tell you is that I remember Will Yeatman was probably the last one to pull it off here, and he was a Notre Dame transfer, right?
Yep, big dude.
Yeah. So there you go. I'm done with that. That's all lacrosse knowledge I got for you.
Well, I'm going to get a whole weekend with you.
Yeah, a whole weekend.
We're not talking about fucking lacrosse. Let me tell you that much.
Why do we have a whole weekend together? What's happening? Tony, Wheels,
tell
everybody.
Going down to Charlottesville, man. We're road tripping, and then setting up camp Friday at Jay-Z's winery, right?
The Lightwell Survey Winery is what it's called.
Right.
A little bit of an odd name, but it's about 20 to 25 minutes west of Charlottesville and Waynesboro. We're getting down there early. We're all making our plans right now. We may have one car. We may have three cars. We're not quite sure yet.
Yeah, I guess somebody might be on foot. Who knows? We'll have to figure that out when we get there. But that's not important. What's important is that we will be there, and you should be there too. Because if you've been to any of our live shows, we have a good time. Trust me, You will have a good time. Jay's my guy from way back when, the original Freedom's Legions, as terpified as anybody gets. I mean, absolute OG baller. They're going to have a great setup. The space is great. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, I mean, you could still actually come to this thing, do the show from 6 to 8, go back to Charlottesville and raise hell with all the swaying sissies. That's our plan. So join us. Let's do it.
Yeah. I tested the entire PA system today with all the mics, everything. I got my iPhone hooked up so we can play music that you will love, Paul, full of Dave Matthews and Coldplay. And full of Dave Matthews and Coldplay and some Broadway musical theater.
Oh, tell me more.
I saw Larry sing a show tune at a bar in Philadelphia, man. I caught the video of it.
Oh no, Larry's a talented guy.
I
Don't get me
know.
wrong. I mean, that's his stuff is legit, but like,
Yeah, we don't have to listen to it.
you don't go down there and honor those people like with their local bands. That's not cool.
Oh yeah,
Dave Matthews is like he's like a UVA dude, right? So
yeah,
F that.
I forget about that. Yeah,
I'm about to get
anyway.
back in my day. I went down to Charlottesville once, right before he broke, and we were at Miller's, but he didn't play. He was like just bartending. People were like, "Go play," and he didn't. But
that's a true story?
Yeah, but this must have been back in, like 1993, 1992. Like it was a long
when
time ago.
they were like a local East Coast kind of
yeah, like it was right before their first EP. Their first record was an EP, and it was right before it broke. And like 6 months later, it's everywhere. And it was like, dude.
So this whole show is going to be off topic.
Just got guys remembering stuff
because
like the time my friend who went with me down to Charlottesville for, I think it was the one where Aaron Henderson led the comeback. It must have been 2005 or 6 or something like that. And we got a little inebriated at the corner, and he had to go take a number 2, and turned out he ended up doing it behind the statue of Robert E. Lee in the park. That's no longer there, as it shouldn't be. Did I mention he's a person of color? So he didn't realize any of these things at the time and could have been in some real trouble. But luckily he got away and left only a sock behind. So yeah, we've had some.
One sock?
You can do the math.
How do you lose one sock, Paul?
You don't lose it, you use it, Larry. Do I have to spell it out for you? Or
no, that's what I was. Okay. That's what I was. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had some fun in this place, and let's hope we have it again. Maybe let's not get down like 3 touchdowns in the first half this time. That would be
last time.
And the best part about, if you know Hoagie on the Inside MarylandSports.com message boards, he was sitting with us in that game, and he left at halftime. And he stayed in the parking lot the whole time. Or I don't know, he might have drove home. I don't know if he drove separately or not, but he definitely left at halftime, and did not get to witness the comeback.
Remember the whole, what was it? What was it called? Operation Box Cutter?
Operation Box Cutter. That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Tell that again. I'm like blanking on some of the details. It had to do with going down to Charlottesville and stealing what?
I don't know. It was just some sort of like funny, before there were internet memes, back in the old days, you would just post like a funny, MS Paint picture with like Hoagie's heroes were the cavalry coming around the side of Scott Stadium, and somebody was breaking in to steal a goalpost or something. It was pretty silly, but like I said, those were the old days when we didn't know what we were doing with the internet quite yet. But
I saw Hoagie at the tailgate this past weekend, and I brought with me my singing partner because we had almost set up that we were going to sing at the alumni tailgate with Don. And because of the rain, they said, let's cancel it. Let's do it later in the year, which we're going to do. I'll let everybody know if you guys want to come see me sing with my singing partner. Anyway, but she was there, and Hoagie convinced her that I stabbed somebody at a tailgate many years ago. It was so funny. And I just played along with it, improv. And I was like, don't stop telling the story. And it was
you got to watch out for Larry. You killed a man with a trident. He had to lay low for a while.
It was so funny. Yeah.
The last football game I went to at Scott Stadium, you all probably saw it on TV. I can't remember what year it was. Maryland went for an onside kick late in the game. I don't even think they really were onside kicking to even have a chance. UVA guy, one of their hands team guys, catches the ball on a perfect hop and returns it for a touchdown. Like, it was totally awful. Like,
I don't remember that.
It must have been late 90s, I'm guessing. Like,
I don't want to think about our matchups with UVA in the late 90s, man. That was
bad.
Pure heartbreak back then.
Yeah, that was not good.
But not this time.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I don't think it's going to happen this time.
Yeah, no, you're quite confident. You're not. You don't think it's gonna
After
happen.
what happened last week, most people are starting to question, and they're worried about it. A lot of people had Maryland as a big favorite. Not so much anymore after what happened last week.
All right, let's just dive into this while we're here. Okay.
I just tried to segue you, Paul. It was perfectly set
I
up.
appreciate that.
You didn't.
No, I just, I know that nobody wants to talk about the bad stuff, but like this was bad. Okay.
Yeah.
It was bad. Was it super bad? I don't know. It's Michigan State. Like, yes, they've had a down couple years, but like that's not a program that just, that's not like FCS Northwest on College Football 25. I mean, that is a program that can recruit some dudes. They got a new coach in. They got some, new coach bump maybe. I don't know. It was a bad loss. They shouldn't have lost the game. Absolutely. No question about it. They played like crap. And it didn't feel so different than the early games against UVA or Charlotte last year, except they were able to come back in the second half in those games. And they had this one wrapped up in the second half too, without just some absolute bonehead blunders and a secondary that really is starting to look a little bit scary against, Childs is not exactly a quarterback that's going to scare a lot of people, whereas Calandria this week will. So
I don't know. He was very highly rated coming in this year.
He was a top 100 recruit coming out.
And he had a bad first week, but it was a first week, and who knows? Like teams change from week 1 to week 2 a lot. I don't know that he's a bad quarterback.
He still threw 3 picks.
Yeah, he threw 3 picks, and they were still pretty comfortable.
Yeah, massively inaccurate quarterback. Like,
yeah, and I think the issue here is what people saw, not the team it was against necessarily. Like, we're expecting a front seven that's one of the best. That should be Maryland's best front seven in quite some time. That did absolutely nothing to get to the quarterback again. Now I do think just schematically, it did seem like they were running a little read and react again, like they did against UConn. Now that doesn't make sense to me because Childs is not like a big runner necessarily. He's certainly an athletic kid, but not a guy that should need to worry about carrying the ball 10, 12 times a game. So I understand kind of why they did it against UConn. I do not understand why they did that against Michigan State. That makes no sense to me. The secondary, again, we were talking about this offline, just kind of about what happened. Like, it seemed like the safeties were pinching in pretty hard, and it was leaving cornerbacks on a real island out there. And even the ones they didn't connect on, they had wide receivers running deep, wide open all the time, completely alone. So another thing that feels schematic to me, not just, a brain fart by a guy like Dante Trader or Glenn Miller. These are, redshirt juniors and, seniors here. Like, they know what they're doing back there, at least what they're supposed to be doing.
That 77-yard touchdown pass, right? So Maryland misses the field goal. Michigan State comes right, one play, 77 yards.
Next play.
2-person route. It was a 2-person route. Maryland rushed 5. They blitzed a 6th guy late after the snap. They sent 2 guys out into a 4-deep quarters zone that Maryland was running. Both safeties sucked straight up.
Yep.
Post over the
top. I was screaming at Husky until I saw the rewatch, and like, he passed him off. That was what he was supposed to do. He's supposed to have a safety over top. And, because I was like, why didn't he run with him? It looked like he realized after he tried to pass him off that there was nobody to pass him off to. So he tried to catch up. But like, I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And I don't know if that's a breakdown of some kind or a miscommunication or just some weird crap they were trying to run that didn't work. I can't explain it. It just doesn't make any damn sense. How you give up a 76-yard touchdown, like up a TD with 5 minutes left in the game, it's baffling. And it's not like Brian Williams forgot how to coach football. He's a guy we've been really high on that pretty much every coach in America has been trying to steal from us for a while. So there's just a lot of inexplicable things going on there.
Williams has always, in my opinion, Williams has always been a guy that makes really, really good halftime adjustments. It always seems like Maryland's defense plays so much better in the second half. I think some of it is because they get kind of vanilla and they wait to see what teams are doing. And then Williams goes in at halftime and he seems to make really, really, really good adjustments.
And they did for the most part in this game, but
until
then
the fourth quarter, right?
Until it mattered. Yep.
then it all fell apart. The reason why the loss is so bad, like, does it rank in the top 10 of worst losses that we've seen from Maryland football in the last 10 years? No. But the reason why it's such a bad loss is because at the end of the year, when we need one more win, when we're talking about bowl eligibility, we're going to say, well, that one got away. Just like Northwestern last year, just like Illinois last year. It reminded me a lot of that Illinois game, a lot of the Illinois game from last year, and Purdue the year before, right? Like, teams coming in, they're not going to be the greatest teams. They're going to be kind of average Big Ten teams. Maryland's just doesn't show up. They've done it now 3 years in a row, and that's the problem. That's why everyone's jumping off the wagon so quickly, is because here it is again, 3 years straight, teams they should win, teams they should beat, and they're not.
That's why people are talking about questioning whether Locksley has reached his peak at the program, because is this just going to be something that happens forever? And a long time ago, when we were arguing over Locksley's tenure, what it would take for a long time and all that. And Paul, I know you said if he just goes to bowls every year, he's here for life. And I said, no, he's going to suffer the same thing that Terzian did, where once you get to a certain level and people reset the expectations, that's not going to be good enough anymore. And then you have 1 year where you go 5-7 or 4-8, and he's going to lose the.
He's not gone. That's not.
Not now. Not now. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's the start of that same kind of thing. And it took Terzian 10 years, right? So it's the start of that same kind of thing where people will no longer accept the 7 and 5s as good.
Right. And I understand. Yeah, I understand the sociology of it. Like I get that completely. I will always think that the average Maryland fan overrates what this program can be, because the heights that it had reached in the ACC is practically impossible in the Big Ten. And there are people who disagree with that, and that's fine. There's no way to know for sure. We're predicting the future here. Get out your crystal balls and, pray to whatever deity will listen. Whatever. I just feel like I don't feel like 7 and 5 is the ceiling here, but it does feel like that's a pretty comfortable floor, and it'd be pretty stupid to start questioning where that floor is.
It's not the floor.
Now, someone posted,
hopefully it's the floor. We'll see.
Not the floor.
Stuart Mandel on The Athletic posted something about, I don't have any expectations about Maryland because Locksley's pretty much hit his ceiling at Maryland. And yet Rutgers, who in 10 years in the Big Ten has done absolutely nothing in almost every single sport, but keeping it to football, everyone's given them a pass this year because, they returned so much from last year's team, which was a below average team, right? But the schedule, well, I mean, look, Maryland might get a schedule 3 or 4 years from now where Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan rotate off. And yet it still doesn't feel like even then people will believe that Maryland can be kind of a 10-win team in that kind of luck schedule scenario. But everyone thinks Schiano is going to do some kind of magic at Rutgers. And I'm like, have people not been watching Rutgers football? No. Have they not been seeing results for the last 10 years for Rutgers football?
Right. I mean, that's just transponding those big East couple good years Schiano had before he went off to the NFL and everywhere else, and trying to be like, Schiano's done it before. Oh, yeah, he's done it in a Big East. So did Randy Edsall. How'd that work out for him? What's he doing these days? All right.
Randy didn't quite do that, though.
He went to a Fiesta Bowl. I mean, he did not run off 2 or 3 10 wins in a year. Sure, I'll give him that. Schiano's a good coach. It's fine. But I don't know. I still think there's some real bias against Locksley, just as a guy, as a hotshot recruiter. Nobody expects, and a person of color, just say it. Like, there are a lot of people who do not feel that those guys are good, smart head coaches. Now, was he perfect on the weekend? Absolutely not. I mean, I think I'm sympathetic to his argument about the 4th and 1, whether you kick the field goal or you go for it, because I've seen Maryland try and get 4th and 1s and not get them. I feel like every day of my life since I was born, like, we just don't get those when we need them. Just like we didn't get the 3rd and 1 when we needed it, when we were driving back down with a tied game. But, if he kicks the field goal, we win the game. We're not talking about it. If he goes for it and we get the 4th and 1 and you win the game, we're not talking about it. If you go for the 4th and 1 and you don't get it, what are we talking about right now?
All three of us
4th and 1.
Would you have gone for it? Should he have gone?
I would have, and I would have praised him for that. I think you do that every time.
I think you go for it as well.
If I had to pick, I would go for it, but it's closer than I think most people. I mean,
can we also talk about why Billy Edwards isn't under center on 3rd and 1? Why is he in shotgun? Why are they looking like they're running kind of weird read option type sets, sets where you got 8 guys in the box to begin with instead of trying to spread Michigan State out?
Let's talk about Josh Gaddis, period. I mean, I think there's a lot to question about the play calling so far in terms of, if you've got Billy Edwards, I think against UConn, they were still pretty vanilla, but you could see they were trying to get him in the running game as a way to kind of open things up a little bit. Clearly, Michigan State defensive line was pretty good. The offensive line was not great. They were not making a lot of holes. There's not a lot of room to go through. So what my, layman's perspective is like, okay, either you go under center and start to get a little bit tricky with what you want to do in terms of, running the ball and using Billy's speed and kind of intelligence and toughness, or spread them out and run that RPO with one back standing next to him and see what happens. At least try and run a little bit of misdirection, get in the linebackers' heads a little bit, still have the pass option available if you've got a hot route on the, or somebody to dump the ball off to. I feel like there were more things they could do to get a little creative. And I just wonder if they were trying to save some stuff. Like they saw the film and they're like, we can beat these guys without having to throw the whole game plan at them. And they got caught with their pants down. And, that sometimes that just sucks.
On offense and defense.
Yeah, both ways.
I totally agree.
So it's a game they should have won and they didn't. So there's a lot to complain about. I don't think it's the end of the world losing to Michigan State in pretty much any season. Most of the time, they're going to have enough talent to beat you. Any Big Ten team is going to have enough talent to beat you if you're off. But now, you pretty much got a must-win game in Charlottesville. And that's not a bad Virginia team. Certainly not as bad as last year.
Not as bad as people were expecting them to be, and that people were expecting this game to be heavily favored by Maryland. It's not, and it's a good opportunity to bring this up.
Yeah, so Maryland's opened as a 2-point. Let's just say Maryland opened as a 2.5-point favorite, which I think surprised a lot of people.
And I think it's only down to 2 right now, Paul. I don't think it's really moved much off of it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it got brutalized by the Sharps on game day, but if you're a Maryland fan, I think, okay, I understand this because Maryland does have a way of bouncing back after laying these turds, at least in the Loxley era, in the Leah era, they were able to pull that off. And secondly, maybe Michigan State's better than people think they are. I don't know. We won't know for another month and a half probably, but it doesn't entirely surprise me, but I'm certainly not laying money on Maryland going down there and winning right now, even though I do have them at 50%. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a toss up. So it's, I don't know. It's scary. It's certainly scarier than it was before because I felt like of all the top 6 games, this was the one that might be the trickiest. And now you kind of have to win it.
And I can scroll up and show you guys what last week's numbers looked like. They had analytics sites had Maryland at 7.5 wins, 7.58. Now 6.19. They lost a game and a half from that. They had a 15% chance from team rankings and an 11.7% chance from ESPN to make the playoff. Now they're at 2.9 and 1.8.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, and they're down to 82% chance at a bowl, which I thought.
Wait, what's the margin of error? What's the margin of error here?
Yeah, right. 5% each way. Can it be negative?
I did copy that wrong. It's 60% chance. Yeah, this is a 60% chance.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, and ESPN's at 69%. So they're still favored to get to a bowl. But man, if they lose this week, things got a chance of coming off the rails quick after that.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they do have a bit of a get-right game with Villanova sitting there at home, and then, Indiana looks a little bit better than maybe you thought they were. Northwestern is kind of ass, and USC looks really good. So you are even if things go totally wrong, you end up 1-2 after this weekend. You're probably you're almost certainly 2-2 after Villanova, and then you've still got kind of those 3 winnable games with USC thrown in there. Maybe you get some sort of time change.
Have they
monster.
decided the game time of the USC game yet?
No, it's going to be a while.
I'm going Javid Best, Cal coming out to visit the Snake Pit.
Yep. Snake Pit.
Banking on that.
Kevin, who hit him? It was Kevin Barnes. That's right.
Yep.
Just God, he laid him out and he threw up on the field. That was fun.
The green.
Yeah.
The Gatorade.
Gatorade puke. Yeah, good time. So yeah, we've had a little success there I don't know. I'm not throwing away the season even if they lose this weekend.
I don't want to get ahead. I don't want to get ahead of the games, right? Because we'll
all right. I would save our meltdown for when it's ready. Like you gotta let it cook a little bit.
The Indiana stuff I find kind of fascinating too, with how much how much they're getting, how much love they're getting from people. So they go and plaster Western Illinois, who has not won a game in 2 seasons, right? And everyone's Indiana puts up 77 points against Western Illinois, FCS team, 0-22 the last 2 seasons. It's not like they look super sharp their first game, and everyone's given their coach, he is a good coach. I'm sorry though, you're going to take 15 James Madison transfers, and you're going to hope they hold up over the course of a Big Ten season. I think that's a big ask for a bunch of guys who are recruited at James Madison, which is not the Big Ten. And so I wonder if they can really hold up. But I had to revise my numbers downward because a road game out in Indiana, it's like, oh man.
Jeff's picks here, by the way, because Jeff couldn't make it, are actually Tony made these picks for Jeff. So he's a game higher than everybody else because he gives Maryland a 90% chance to win this week. You want to explain yourself?
I think Virginia's terrible. I think Virginia's awful. I know everyone loves their little moxie quarterback, who's going to take chances, who's going to throw interceptions, who's going to fumble. Their offensive line is not good. They don't run the ball at all. So they're one-dimensional. Part of what got Maryland messed up this past week, I think, which surprised a lot of people too, Michigan State ran the ball really well against them. Mm-hmm. And UVA doesn't have that ability to run the ball. Their offensive line is not good. And if you can make them one-dimensional, now all of a sudden you can pin your ears back, and go after Calandria, and he's going to make mistakes. So I think it's one of these kind of Big Ten offensive defensive line games where Maryland's bigger, faster, stronger. If they start out well, I think they're going to roll.
Well, it's going to be a repeat of the lacrosse Final Four. That's what right?
We're not doing inter-sport comparisons. That's not.
We just did.
No,
Paul's like the transitive property doesn't work.
What happened?
Transitive property doesn't work to begin with, and it certainly doesn't work cross sports.
Oh yes, Maryland versus Virginia. The last time Maryland played Virginia in lacrosse.
But Paul, what were you going to say before we?
I don't know. I'm happy to beat Virginia in any sport, but I think Tony's right. I mean, this is one of those where I've said it myself watching practice. It feels like we finally got the kind of size and speed that a Big Ten team a decent Big Ten team should. We've been talking about that for 10 years now, and I feel like we're finally there. But if you got it, you got to show it this weekend. I don't want any excuses for this game. I agree. I don't think their offensive line is very good. They should be able to give him trouble, and they've got to get to him. They just have to. We talked all about this front seven. They're all experienced. They're all older. They're big, strong, fast, good kids, smart guys. You've got to get it done. You've got to be able to put them in trouble. And if Calandria just throws all over them, that's maybe when the sirens really go off. If something is really, really just kind of structurally wrong with the way this team is set up, kind of in the way we saw with the basketball team last year, where the pieces didn't fit right, and it just isn't an individual talent thing. Something else is just going wrong.
Well,
So
we're
let
going
me
to go
ask you
down
all
there and
something.
have a good time.
Let me ask you guys something. So are your lower, are your 50-50 probabilities here? Is it solely based on vibes?
For me, it's a little bit. Well, go ahead, Larry.
It's based on what we've seen the first 2 weeks and the fact that a lot of the teams that Maryland is going to play have looked better than initially anticipated as well. So USC, before the season started, a lot of us had that as a 40%, 45% chance for Maryland hosting USC, but they look a lot better now. Indiana looks better. Virginia does look better too. Rutgers looks better, right? There's a lot of those teams that Iowa looks better. Penn State, I know they didn't look good against Bowling Green this past week, but hangover, who knows? But they look great against West Virginia. They look like they got an off. A lot of the teams just look better. So
let me ask you guys.
Well, here, let me answer too.
Yeah.
I think the for me, the first road game is always a bit scurry. I don't feel very confident going anywhere for that first one. Just new guys, new quarterback, that kind of stuff can be a little troubling. And for me, just UVA's ability to throw the ball around worries me given what we've seen from the secondary so far. So that's kind of it for me. I moved my percentages down for a couple games, but it was mostly 5% here, 10% there, and some of them I left alone. I don't think losing to Michigan State just doesn't bother me as much as maybe it should, or but certainly bothered other people. But if they're going to come back and show me that they're actually the team I think they are, they've got to win this game. That's just kind of the bottom line.
But also a lot of the projection loss is that Michigan State was somewhere around 75 to 80%. So you're losing 3/4 to 80% of a victory there. So even if you were at 6.5, now you're down to 5.75 or so already.
Without changing anything else.
Without changing anything. So that's what a lot of the loss is.
So let me ask you guys a hypothetical then. The early Big Ten game, if that Michigan State game is maybe after the UVA game, do you think there's a difference?
Yes.
Do you think there's something about the early Big Ten? Like Michigan State to me looked so much more physical on both sides of the ball than Maryland. Like Maryland did not seem prepared. Michigan State's tackling, I mean, they tackled so well and they were physical. They pinned their ears back the whole game. And I wonder if Maryland wasn't ready for a Big Ten game in week 2.
I think so. I think there's something to that.
That's an indictment of the coaching staff right there. If that's the case,
I agree with that too.
They're not ready, and Michigan State is. That's a big problem.
Yeah, I agree with both of those, but it's also a game they should have won, and they win in 95 out of 100 runs, right? So it was just weird. They did some dumb shit at the worst possible times that cost them a game that they normally win, even though they didn't play great. We've seen that plenty. And I think the issue, too, is like when we're looking at counting wins on a schedule every year, you count the ones you feel like are almost must-wins or games that you should win. And if we were just a normal-ass team that would also beat a team better than us every once in a while, we wouldn't sweat so hard about when we lose one that we shouldn't lose. But the biggest indictment of Loxley to me is the same as it was for Edsel and Durkin and everybody else. We can never beat the good teams. We just can't. Can't do it. We haven't done it since Ralph's years. And even back then, we didn't do it very well either. I mean, Ralph's years are always polluted with getting your ass kicked by Florida State. Yeah, we won 10 games. Great. But you got your ass kicked by Florida State, and you got your ass kicked by Notre Dame, and you got your ass kicked by Florida. Like, the real teams still work our asses. He won a couple. You won a couple. You beat a UVA and NC State when they were up, but nobody's confusing them with
Florida State as well. They did beat Florida State
in 2004 and went 5-6 and did go to a bowl game. So I'm just saying, if you look at the history of this program, this is a decade-long problem that's happening.
Right.
Here. And I don't know what the solution to that is.
No, but what you're saying is exactly why you get sports writers blowing Maryland off. what you just
Yeah.
said. That's exactly why. Because
But I mean, I don't know what
Maryland
the
hasn't done it. Loxley hasn't done it.
Well, think
And
about
yes, there's extenuating circumstances to his New Mexico State days, but it happened and it's on his record. And since it is on his record, and since he has the history, until he does it, and until Maryland does it, that's going to be the perception.
think about how utterly improbable it is that we have not had that surprise win. NIU just goes into South Bend.
I know.
And they beat Notre Dame, right?
It's crazy.
How is it that in like 10 years, 15 years, however long it's been, we never get that trap game that we almost had it with Ohio State, right? Almost. Yep. Missed a 2-point conversion.
Michigan last year.
Isn't it bizarro how like it's so improbable that Maryland is never the team that just
it's statistically impossible, actually.
I think so.
You want to make it more statistically impossible? Now add in the basketball team basically being incapable of making a final March Madness run of any kind. The only time we played above our seed is like when we won the Nat or we went to the Final Four the first time. Like
when they won the Natty, they were the 1 seed.
Yeah, they were the 1 seed. They just beat her. They're supposed to, right? And like Maryland basketball, they could just never be a 8 seed and just end up in Elite 8. It's mind-boggling how there's just no chance here for any like magic. It just never happens. And you want to know why? There is? Well, I guess there's a chance that, Scarlett Johansson calls me tomorrow and says, hey, let's go get hitched in Vegas. But there's a really tiny chance, right?
No, hang on. There is a way better chance that Maryland goes on a tournament run than Scarlett Johansson calls you. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, that's like a 0.008% chance compared to a 0.0012% chance, right? I mean, it is really insane how when you talk about fan apathy, right? We talk about that a lot around here. Part of it is like being a fan, it comes from fanatic, right? You're crazy about this. You are so invested in this, you can't like be reasonable about it. And Maryland's Rev Sports, I will say, Maryland Rev Sports refuses. It just refuses to give you that magic moment. It will not do it.
Lacrosse
it just doesn't happen.
Part of that for about 40 years too, by the way.
But you're right. It is completely statistically improbable that in basketball we could be the 5. We never go on the Cinderella run. And football,
what about conference tournaments? You want to do conference tournaments? We can do that one too.
No, it's like,
we had one. We were like a 4 seed in 2004.
And then in football, we are never the team that goes in and surprises. I don't understand how that happens. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, again, if Mandel and these writers are writing us off in terms of like, yeah, they're not going to go to the playoff this year. Sure, buddy. Yeah, me too. But just writing us off, in a game against Michigan State, they should have won anyway. When Michigan State could, you could close your eyes at the end of the season, they end up 7-5 or 8-4, and it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's why. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they're still probably a bowl team, but they gotta do it this weekend, or that's when the funeral dirge really begins.
Yeah. You know why it's going to change, though? I'll tell you exactly why it's going to change. Because the basketball team just got a huge commit who got bumped up to number 65 in the rating, and that's going to be the difference.
This is where we are right now. And 65 in the country.
4-star recruit.
Jeff crystal balled another top 100 player, and they are going to be the turning point. Let's go.
Hey, I'm all for, Maryland's actually had a lot better luck, I think, with guys ranked in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s than they have in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So
this was always the complaint against Turgeon, was we should be living in this space of getting
50 to 70.
The 40 to 60 range recruits.
Yep.
Like we should be getting 3 of those guys a year. And so if Willard can do that and develop them, keep them. Yeah, like
you know what's funny though? If you look at the 24/7 2025 basketball top 100 right now, pretty much every single guy that Willard was recruiting for like this entire cycle and then magically decided they didn't want to recruit anymore is all between like 40 and 60. Every single one of them. Chance Mallory, Caden Lewis, Nick Lewis, Tyler Jackson. Every single one of those guys. Like, I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know. But Marcus Jackson, he's good. Tell me about that. I like Marcus Jackson. I've whined enough tonight. Marcus Jackson, he's a great athlete, 6'8" guy, tough as nails, does fit a role that this team doesn't seem to have right now as a really bouncy, athletic kind of 4 swing man. I don't know if he can extend that out to the 3-point line yet. That'll be kind of the thing that probably determines whether he's like a real legit player or just a good piece. But you got to feel good if you get a guy who kind of fits that James Gist mold, maybe that they haven't had in a while. You're going to have to replace, Juju Reese this year one way or another, potentially Queen as well. Hopefully not. So again, I'm all happiness when it comes to this particular commit, despite my complaints about how maybe the windy road that we got here.
I think they might be pretty good this year. I think they're going to have. I think they're going to have about 7 guys who are quality Big Ten players.
Can they hit 3-point shots? That is it.
They will hit it better than last year.
If you're going to have 2 7-footers essentially roaming the paint. Now, Jeff had reported and had some other people talking about, Queen really showing some range, right? Maybe Queen can step out and stretch a defense. And
let's be honest, he's an elbow range guy.
Exactly.
He's not if Queen chucks up 53s this year, we're probably 10 and 23. Like that's not what you want.
No. You can't play both of those guys on the court together and not have spacers. You just can't. And that was the problem last year. The 3 of us probably could hit as many 3-pointers.
No, let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
My knees are bad.
It's been a minute.
My knees are bad. But
they hit them all in practice. They just didn't go in the games.
No, we're joshing, but I think you're right. I think they could be pretty decent this year. It really,
I do.
There's such a glut of Big Ten teams between like the 3 and 4, and then kind of like the 12 and 13. And I feel like Maryland's just kind of in there. Maybe the pieces fit and they do pretty well. Maybe they don't and they don't. I don't know. It certainly feels like Willard did enough in the portal to at least give them a shot. If you're lucky that you can get, somebody like Malachi to be a contributor, that's great. Probably not a guy you want to have to count on this time. And then really like Wheel said, it's just kind of what can you really do with Reese and Queen together? Or are you going to be in a situation where you're going to have to mostly play them apart and maybe 10 to 15 minutes together as opposed to 20 or 25 or 30, right? They're going to have to space them out to some degree anyway, because they just don't have enough guys.
They are going to do that's my prediction. I don't think they're going to be on the court for much more than maybe 10, because say Juju plays 30, Derek Queen's going to get the other 10 from that, right? So, and if he's paying 25-ish, then Derek Queen's going to get the other 15 from that. You have one of them on the court at all times, and the overlap's only going to be 10 to 12, maybe 15 at the maximum. That's my prediction of how it happens.
Probably. But then, how good is Braden Pierce? So there have been he's been one of those guys they've been talking about in practice a little bit. Are they going to throw him out there too? And can you throw him out there where you got one of those other guys out there too? What are you doing with Geronimo? Geronimo is your kind of athletic, long defender, but he can't shoot, and he's really not much of a spacer or a guy who you can count on to really make offense through. Can you play him with one of those 2 guys at the 5 when he's playing the 4? Or are you going to try and play 2 big guys and Geronimo at the 3, which seems like a death sentence to me in modern college basketball? So I guess I'm just kind of curious what Willard decides to do in terms of figuring out this rotation, and whether, you're pretty sure guys like Gillespie and Selden McCallum, they can play ball, right? We've seen it. They've done it at this level.
And there's chance.
What are you getting
back? Yeah.
Right. Can Stan Stevens even be a dude who can get on the court? I don't know. Maybe. Right. What's Rodney Rice going to give you? Is he a guy who's a Big Ten ready player, even just a guy for 12 minutes off the bench? That'd be great. If he's not, what do you do there? I just don't know. My biggest concern with Willard is it seems like he's running basketball sets like it's 2003, where you can have two legitimate bigs who don't shoot threes on the court at all times and a 6'8" guy at the three who doesn't really shoot well either. And it just doesn't feel like a thing that works anymore. If you're good enough, you can bend other teams to your will, but we always seem so reactive that we're always doing, whatever the other team is dictating that we need to do. So I guess when you talk about the basketball team future, it's just like, okay, well, how does that stuff actually work? I think the pieces are pretty good. I just don't know how how you turn that into. I don't know how you turn all those ingredients into a nice dinner. That's kind of my feeling about it before we get into
Purdue
preseason.
has
And all that
juggled the multiple big man thing very well for the last however many years they've had.
But they've
multiple big guys.
They've also had shooters.
Yeah.
They always have two shooters on the floor.
Or three shooters. Three shooters, two bigs. I mean, and one of those bigs is Zach Edey, so you don't need help with that guy. So, and plus, look, Matt Painter coaching offense compared to Kevin Willard coaching offense is like, whatever I say is going to be incredibly insulting to Kevin Willard. So just, I'll let you run your imaginations with that one.
But also, when you come into a program and you're left with a lot of players that you don't necessarily think, how do I say it politically, that don't fit your system. How about we say it that way? And you're forced to try and either square peg round hole them into your system, or to try and change your system because you're left with what's there. Okay. I'm willing to say, okay, maybe that happened. Now that's over with. That's over with now. You got your guys, you got guys that you handpicked and recruited. Now let's see. And I'm willing to give them that one shot and see what happens this year. Maybe
here's the deal here's the deal with Willard, and you guys might disagree. He's always going to prioritize defense more than he will offense. And as long as he does that, he's going to play Geronimo. Paul, he's going to come out with that lineup that you feel.
I know he is. It's going to make I'm just going to collapse.
Right, like the lineup of death, but not in a good way. Right? Like literally the lineup of death where
like we all just have heart attacks. Yeah.
Right, because there's going to be no offense because he's going to want to win a bunch of 47-45 rock fights.
And you know what? If you want to be Tony Bennett and win a natty doing that, fine.
Right.
There are all these people talking about, I want to score 90 a game and it needs to be exciting, or the fans. I don't care. Win, dude. Just win. Like I'm pure Al Davis when it comes to this, man. Just win, baby. If you want to set college basketball back 50 years and win nothing but rock fights and it gets you to a natty, I don't care. I don't. So whatever. If that, and I think Tony's right. I do think he prioritizes defense over offense. That's perfectly fine with me. Just win basketball games.
Yeah,
you're not winning basketball games right now. So
I was going to make that same comparison, and then Bennett learned from Bo Ryan, right? Didn't he, at Wisconsin? There's another great example of that.
Yep.
Like, if that works, then great. Then you put up with it. If you win, that's trumps everything. If
here's
it doesn't,
here's the difference.
Tired of it real quickly.
Yeah, here's the difference.
Just be a lead at something.
But here's the difference, though. We've seen now a couple of seasons of Willard. He's got guys who can play good offense, right? He will get players who can play really good offense. But when their shots aren't falling, they also stop playing defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the difference between, what happens down at UVA versus, what Willard might be doing. You can win with defense if you're always going to play defense.
Yes, but you're comparing UVA when Bennett's been there for a decade plus to the second season.
But Bennett's
of Willard.
Bennett's done this everywhere he's been. Bennett did it when he was at Washington State.
Okay, but in his second season at UVA, they weren't national championship contenders. I'm saying give him a chance. That's all I'm saying. I'm willing to give him a chance. He's got his players now. I will give him that benefit of the doubt. You had a bad season, you get one. I'll give it to you. You were dealt what you got dealt. It didn't mesh with what you wanted to do, clearly. Now he's got 95% of the rosters. The guys he handpicked now in his third year. Now let's see it. If it happens again, okay, good. I'm with you. But maybe it doesn't happen again. Maybe the team starts to look good now, right? Maybe he has players who fit his system and can do what he wants to do. Maybe it will work. That's all I'm saying.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I've said some things after basketball games about my willingness to launch him into the sun, which maybe I regret a little. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if they go to a Sweet 16 this year, okay, cool.
The entire outlook changes, right?
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, if this is what we're going to be, then like you deserve a couple years to see if you can work that out.
Yeah,
just it's a lot of the recruiting. I don't think you can just. I should frame this right. It worries me a little bit that his attitude when it comes to recruiting feels a lot like late-term Turgeon, where the work you have to put in with high school kids is something he doesn't seem like he really wants to do, or he's either doesn't want to do or is not capable of doing it to get the highly rated kids. It seems like every time the second, what happened with like a Caden Lewis. So Caden Lewis was an underrated guy. He was like third on their list. They liked him a lot, but they wouldn't push for him. Then he blows up in the summer, and they're like, "Oh, well, he blew up. What are you supposed to do?"
He's gotten
keep recruiting him. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, yeah, he got Derek Queen. That's great.
And the year before, he got highly rated guys as well.
Yes, that's great. One of them's gone. One of them played like ass. So, like, hopefully,
but that's not what you just said, though. You said.
That was literally right when he walked in. He had the energy, and then immediately you've seen, other than Derek Queen, you've seen
that happens.
The high school effort is a little questionable, and it does feel like having hit the portal as hard as he did last year, it makes you wonder whether he's already just like, all right, whatever. I'll just recruit like 1 or 2 high school kids, and I'll hit 4 or 5 guys in the portal every year.
Not a bad strategy.
Oh boy, maybe.
I think we're learning.
We'll see, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, this year will be a great test for it. Like maybe it'll go great. I'm happy to look. If anything about me on this show in the past 10 years, that I am happy to be wrong about all of these doomsday predictions. Nobody be more excited about me being wrong than me.
Paul,
right?
The point you raised earlier, I think it's a roster construction, right? Like. I got no problems with who he's going to recruit, how he's going to recruit. If it looks like he's getting pieces that can fit what need, like if you're going to have 2 big men, awesome. If you're going to try and figure out a way to play them, awesome. But you got to have some shooters then too. You got to make sure that, and those are the things that we don't know. We don't know.
He recruited outside players too. So let's see it happen. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I think this year will be a good test for that theory as to whether you could just pluck guys out of the portal and make a roster out of that. But as Wheels is saying too, if your idea is you're going to throw Geronimo out at the 3, like the season's over, it's over before it started. You can't do that in 2024. You just can't. Well, like it's just not how the game works anymore. So, if you're going to be a defensive guy in 2024, I'm not, friggin', Roy Williams or anything, but like if you're going to be a good defensive team, you better be able to defend 1 through 5 with everybody's on the court and be able to switch. How are we doing that with the big guys currently? Do you want Derek Queen running out of the 3-point line at somebody? Probably not. So I don't know. There's just so many questions with the roster construction, and I think it's really not the amount of talent. It's just how the pieces fit. It's very similar to what I was saying about the defensive football earlier. Like, I think the talent's there. I just don't know whether they fit right or they're going to work. So it'll be a good, I'm excited for the year just to see kind of what the hell happens, because I have really no expectations. I think they'll be pretty good, but I just don't know.
Yeah, but you're basically arguing against a straw man because he hasn't done that yet. So you're saying
I'm saying that's my theory.
So
we'll see whether
how can he throw him out at the 3? He hasn't thrown him out at the 3 yet.
Larry, what else?
Well, he's going to have to. I mean, you're going to have 5s in the Big Ten. You run out to the 3-point.
I mean, Larry, what else are we going to talk about?
No. I'm saying Geronimo, putting Geronimo out at the 3.
Oh, I know he's going to do that. I I know that's going to happen. You know in your soul that's going to happen.
It's absolutely happening.
It's going to happen in early games for sure. Let's see if he does it once there's playing the later in the season. I agree that he'll probably try it. We'll see how long it lasts.
Here's
if he
what
continues to do it throughout the season, I'll be there with you.
Here's when I look at the roster, the kinds of players he has on the team. He's got the kind of roster and the kind of depth where they really could come out and press for significant parts of the game, where they really could make things uncomfortable for teams all over the court. But he hasn't really shown any tendencies to do that unless they're down 15 and they're trying to make a desperate run. I can't remember the last time in a conference game even where they're throwing that kind of pressure out. But they've got the roster to do it. You want to put Geronimo in at the 3. Perfect for setting up that kind of press, right?
Yep.
But it's not like he does that. That's what's kind of concerning is you can see Willard's history. It's not like he hasn't been at other places. His roster construction here looks like a lot like it did at Seton Hall, except maybe a star lower on the rankings, right? But his system looks exactly the same. He looks for like really athletic big guys. And that looks like it's part of his history. But I feel bad for Larry here, Paul, because like you and I are such pessimists, and Larry's like such an optimist all the time.
We need that. I mean, Larry keeps me sane. I mean, because his arguments are good. I mean, there's no reason to go and shit all over things that haven't happened yet. Like I completely understand that. I'm just telling you my concerns and my theories, and we'll see what happens, right? And to your point, Tony, I think that is interesting because especially a lot of these defense-first coaches like to turn defense into offense because they're not running crisp, beautiful, modern half-court sets. Like they're running lead guards out there and pick and rolls and hoping for the best. So you would think you would have thrown a little bit more pressure in there. Or certainly if you press, or if you're not pressing, you're playing hard defense in the half-court, and the second you turn the ball over, you go. And they don't do a lot of that either, or secondary break or any of that stuff. So it's a bit interesting. And, again, I don't care what he does if he wins basketball games.
Yes.
Like, shut me up and win 25 or 30. And, hey, cool. Do whatever the hell you want, man. I'm just an idiot on the internet. Like,
do you know what? Basketball sucks, and we should stop talking about it. Basketball is a shitty
We have
sport.
one more thing to talk about before you shut it down.
Go ahead.
Young Jeffrey put in a crystal ball for Chris Jeffrey.
Yeah.
A lead guard. Yep. Lead guard, plays locally in Largo, I believe, but from New York City, tough lead guard. Not a great shooter. So we'll all get to have that conversation all over again.
Okay. Hey, but look, two players living exactly in the range you guys said Maryland should live in. So there you go.
He's 94 to be fair, but maybe.
He's 74 in the composite.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes,
fair enough.
I got his page open right now, and Marcus Jackson's the exact opposite. 65 on 24/7, 142 in the composite. But I think that's probably because the other sites haven't updated.
He's a late riser. He had a great summer.
So, but both of them are going to be right in that range you guys want. So, but basketball sucks. It's a shitty sport. So let's stop talking about it. Wheels. Let's talk about some real sports. What we got?
I mean, I don't have a huge. I'm going to do it briefly for Paul.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with soccer. The men's team can't score. Nothing appears to have changed from last year. The women's team is all over the place. Volleyball beats up on not good teams. They get into Big Ten play. It's going to be a bear again.
Like football.
Field hockey beat Boston College on Friday. They lost to number 5.
Fifth?
They're ranked fourth.
Fourth.
They lost to 5th ranked Duke. There's an ACC Big Ten kind of challenge thing for field hockey. So they split that. They played it all out in Evanston, all out at Northwestern. So they dropped one to Duke, but they beat BC. They're still going to be ranked 4th or 5th. The soccer program, man, Paul, I know you're a big soccer fan. I don't know what is going on with Maryland soccer.
We talked about this last week.
I brought this up last week, man. Like I love Sasha Zarowski. He's a hero. She's on the Mount Rushmore of whatever the hell you put on at Maryland sports. Man, he's not cutting it. the last few years.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on there. It's very interesting. I mean, I'm obviously not like deep into Maryland soccer the way I had been in when I was younger.
San Diego State came out to College Park and they tied them 1-1. And it's just it looks like every game's the same, you know. Maryland looks like they're creating opportunities. They can't score. They just can't score. It's like me in high school, me in college, can't score. It's terrible.
Well, did you also have a terrible stadium situation? You couldn't recruit talent. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Could have been it, but Paul, I did wear something Gonzaga related for you today.
Oh, for fuck's sake! I got to deal with enough of that this weekend. I don't know how I'm going to be able to be around you for 48 hours because that's going to be a problem.
I'll contain it. Larry loves me though, so Larry will hang with me.
This is like when I'm around people arguing about politics. I'm like, shut up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I got Larry talking a lot about his high school soccer experience though up in Connecticut. I got Larry's origin story.
I was going to compare myself to Chris Wondolowski. You don't know who that is. Paul does.
What the Wanda that scored like 150 goals in MLS, or the one that blew the goal in the open goal in the Belgium game in the World Cup?
We're not going to talk about Belgium.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about the guy who's too slow and too short and too fat to do anything, but just always in the right spot and just like flick the goal. That's what I was. I had field vision. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway,
that was my high school hockey career, to be fair. Like I just played right wing and I was completely unskilled, but I was big, fast, and I could skate. So I just went in the corner and busted people up and
nailed people up against the boards.
I just crushed people and then sent the puck towards my center, and then my job was done. So I appreciate that.
There's your non-res report for the day. I have a fill in the blank for you guys to end the show. We didn't have a guest. I normally do fill in the blank with them. And whenever we don't have a guest, I sometimes will do it with the host. So I have 6 of them, 3 for each of you. We will start with Tony. You're getting an ice cream cone with a double scoop. The 2 flavors are...
Oh boy, two separate flavors. So like I'm in Italy.
Separate?
So like I'm in Italy eating gelato, and I can get 2 flavors. Or are we just talking?
You get two of the same if you want. You got 2 scoops.
I mean, coffee ice cream is my go-to, man. That's it.
So 2 coffees.
Absolutely.
That's a man who works hard. He's got to get that coffee even in his sweets.
I don't love that. That's an X. -1 for Tony. Okay.
Coffee tastes like burnt asshole anyway.
Funny enough, I don't drink coffee at all. But if it's ice cream, I'm down.
All right. That makes even more sense, right?
All right, Paul. Your stupidest human trick that you can perform is?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm boring, man. I'm old and fat and like, I don't know. I can still like run to first base in softball without pulling a hammy most of the time. So that's not bad at 44. Although I just pulled my quad on Monday night, so I'm limping around like a derelict.
God, he's so young, Larry.
I stopped playing sports, dude.
44. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I just got live. I got a text from Jeff. Terps basketball commit. Did they just get?
No, they're just talking about Jeffrey moving up the rankings. He's just late.
That's not.
It's nothing new. Nope.
Okay. All right. I thought we were gonna.
I got that too. So.
Oh, I thought. Okay. All right. Never mind. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Tony, your best celebrity impression is?
Boy, you're going to make me try and do it then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm a much better impersonator of like people in my life. I would have to think, God, my best celebrity. I used to do a great like Jerry Falwell, like "Bless You, My Child," but I don't know if I can pull that off these days, guys. That's from my youth.
Jerry Falwell.
How many people can we insult like during the show? Let's see.
All right.
I'm Jesus.
Don't have any.
Sorry, Larry, we're lame, man.
He already did. He said Jerry Falwell. That's.
But I'm not gonna do it for you. I'm not gonna
That's
break
fine.
into my bless you child. You know,
All right,
not doing
that's
that.
But you're gonna do it like midnight Friday night if things.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
when we're in
yeah.
the car, I might go there.
Hey,
Let
we're
off.
gonna have 4 mics at the show, and Suter's gonna take one of them for a while, but the 4th one will be open. So when you've had enough wine at the winery or beer, because there's a brewery there as well, and you feel like you want to come up and impersonate Jerry Falwell, you come do that.
Well,
Except
stop trying to get our designated driver drunk, Larry.
Except I don't drink, Larry.
Oh shit, that's right. Forgot.
Plan is foiled.
We will drink enough for you.
I will drink for you, and then just badger you until you do it. That's my plan.
Paul, your irrational fear is
Irrational fear. Watching Caillou on TV. It is the worst goddamn show in human history. If you've had children and you've been forced to watch that show,
only a few times.
Awful.
My kid wasn't into it.
It makes you want to jump off a bridge. It's just weird. The worst.
The one
so that's probably not very irrational, but it's very rational to me. But I guess maybe somebody out there likes it. I guess
there was a show called Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that was the best kids show ever.
Dude, Business Beats were on that.
That was
beat of the
weird.
Day.
That one was weird for me too.
Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo would come in and do drawings. Like
DJ Lance Rock.
Dude,
come on, man.
What's up with you?
That was weird for me. I didn't love that one.
Anyway. I mean, it was a bit of like a.
It was trippy.
Yeah, it was like there was like they needed a seizure warning every once in a while because like
it was weird.
You know, it's like 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday, and you're like, "What am I doing with my life?" And it's like, "Ooh, it's like, whoa, hold on,
everybody, business beat of the day."
R.I.P. Biz Marquee.
Oh god, it was so great. Did you watch the documentary? Did you watch All Up in the Biz?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you should.
What's that on?
I want to say. Was it Showtime? Whatever Showtime. I think it might have been Showtime.
The biggest problem with TV and streaming right now is I never know what's on any network or anything because there's just no advertisement anymore. So it's.
But did you get a chance?
Yeah.
All Up in the Biz was so great. So great.
Wheels, if you could have any superpower, it would be.
God, I wish I was taller. Is that a superpower?
What?
Wish it was a little bit taller. Wish it was a baller. Wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her.
I thought of that too, but that's what you.
No. If I could have a superpower, what would?
How tall are you, Are you, Tony?
He's already tall, right?
I'm 5'9".
That's fine.
I didn't think you were taller.
It's not like you're not a short king.
My son is taller than me, and I finally feel like I did something like I finally feel like I accomplished something in the world. Like
you helped the gene pool.
Yeah, my son is like 5'10". I'm like,
yeah. You wear shoes with lifts in it or something? Because I feel like I'm 5'9", and I feel like you're taller than me.
Well, which one of you is shrinking fastest in your old age? That's what we need to.
I guess it's me, but anyway, what you just know? Superpower.
Superpower. If I could have a superpower, that's a really good question. Because I want to say all of them, but boy, Larry,
what's the monkey paw like power that you'd risk everything for?
I mean, I think I would love to be able to time hop. If that's a superpower,
time travel, that'd be cool.
Being able to time hop,
that'd be pretty cool. I like that.
I would dig that.
I think that's pretty cool. Being able to fly would be cool. Invisibility would be really cool, I think, too.
That could get dirty.
Yeah, I didn't want to go down any creepy route.
Larry would be rolling up in Shannon Sharp's house to see what was going on today. Like,
what happened at Shannon Sharp's house?
Oh, you'll read up on it later. It's fine.
Something happened.
I'm not getting into that.
Tony
knows what I'm talking about.
I hate all of those shows they have now where it's like, let's pit one white guy and one black guy against each other and fake controversial arguments. And they're sitting in pre-show, and they're like, oh, what do we do? Oh, I'll take this argument. I'll take this. Yeah, I can do this.
Oh, absolutely.
that shit is so fake. It's so painful. How do people watch that stuff?
The first takeization of sports media is
Oh my
terrible, but
God.
that is not at all what I'm talking about. You should
Anyway,
Google it later.
Whatever. PTI was awesome. It was the first one, and it kind of set that up. And every imitation after that is painful to me. Anyway, all right. Okay, I'm old too. I guess I like the old sports writers. Is that what's going on, Mr. Old Guy? Okay.
I'm a George Michael sports machine guy personally.
I don't remember him really because I'm Baltimore. He was
No,
DC,
that's
right?
That's
I'm
right.
Baltimore.
You're a dirty Baltimore guy.
Yeah. All right. Last one, Paul. The thing you're most and least looking forward to this weekend are?
Okay. So the most I'm looking forward to is the live show, because every live show we've had has been excellent, and I know Jay's going to do it up. And it'll be fun to hang out with you guys again in person, like we did bowl game and the other stuff we've done. So that'd be cool. And least forward is the game. I have no interest in the game at all. It's just because I'm there. I'll feel like a jerk if I don't go. But like, I would much rather just like hide my hotel room or the Airbnb for 4 hours and like somebody can tell me what happened, because when games get like this where they're like in the must-win territory, I get nervy, man.
We better be able to watch some football on Saturday, because the game, it's an 8 o'clock game,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I hope we can sit and watch like morning games.
Oh, that's definitely happening.
Yeah.
No, but here's the good news. It's not a good slate this is like the worst week of the season in terms of games on the schedule. So even if we're not able to watch things intently, it's not like we're missing Alabama Auburn, right? Like,
I don't think the tailgate starts till 4 or something, right? So
yeah, it's late.
We'll go to some sports bar, right?
Yeah, we'll at least get the early window. And last week was a pretty terrible slate on.
It's better than this one
on paper, but the games turned out to be better.
Paul knows as well as I know that college football is the greatest sport ever. So even when you think it's a terrible week of matchup, that's when the craziest things happen.
Wait.
Absolutely.
Why does Paul know that and I don't know that?
I don't know, because I know Paul talks about how God bless.
No, Larry's one of us too. He's totally a football guy over.
Well, then why would Larry be saying the slate of games sucks, Larry?
Because it does. Have you seen?
Larry's not a ball knower. Ball knowers know that these slates where everything looks terrible end up being the best a lot of the time.
Well, the games may end up turning out to be good games, but the schedule is not good. That's
the matchups are not good. That's fair.
Yes. The
best
game is Arizona, Kansas State, and that's Friday night. On Saturday, I think there's one ranked matchup, and it's like BC against.
Well, don't you have Texas A&M and
they're not ranked.
Bama and but I like seeing those losers lose, so that's fun.
We'll see. It could end up being good games, but the schedule is not very good.
That's fair.
So it's the worst week of the season this week,
unless it's not. Like I said,
schedule-wise,
UVA could have a really good offense and kick our ass, or they might not. That's the beauty of it, Lawrence. That's why we're going down there.
Hang on for a second. Hang on. Antoine Cuff said Larry is so lost. Is that because I said I don't like? No, I don't like the fake.
No. Again, you're not understanding the context of.
Because of something happened with Shannon Sharp. I don't know. I've been working all day, and then I had something else, and then I came straight into prep for the show. I haven't even been online. I don't know.
That's fine. Just you'll find out eventually, and just you'll laugh, you'll giggle.
Okay, all right. I've recused myself from social media anyway because it sucks.
You're not.
Used to be fun. When Facebook first started, and you were meeting all your old friends, and that was a fun thing. And it has become. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm old.
Really?
Yeah.
You're only a year older than me. That's not that old. No.
Do you like social media?
I'm on Twitter a lot. Twitter's my news feed.
Who likes social media? I mean, I think the kids do because they grew up on it. But like for us, it's just like, do I have a use for it or do I not? Like
they use Snapchat and Instagram for like their messaging and all that.
Oh, not anymore.
All their communication.
Those are like the 30-somethings. Now it's like it's all TikTok and Twitch and things that I probably don't even
Well,
know.
Twitch is for gamers.
Not
Yeah, they use
anymore.
TikTok.
Not
No,
anymore. But Snap is still a thing. Snap for the high schoolers.
Snap,
is
yeah.
a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
they-
16-year-old all the time. She's like, "Oh yeah, I was doing this and that and that." I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what like 4 words in that sentence mean." Like, come on, should know how to translate for me by this point.
Do you know what skibbity means?
I do not.
Skibbity Toilet Ohio.
Yes. That stuff I kind of know, but not really. I don't know.
I don't know.
You've never heard that?
The only thing that I know is we've lost all of our listeners by this point. So
No, they like this better than the sports analysis.
yeah, I guess there's nothing positive coming about the sports, so we might as well talk about something else.
This is what happened when the boss is away.
Yeah, when you don't have Jeff sitting there being like,
Yes, Jeff. You guys don't see, we have a group text during all our shows. You guys don't see the text. It's like,
Jeff, like, wrap it up.
Wrap it up again. You're fired with like 5 exclamation points.
Yes, fired from our free volunteer podcast.
I know. Yeah.
I turned out all the big money that we're making here.
Yeah. All right.
Hey,
Well,
UVA, Charlottesville, Waynesboro, Friday night. Let's do it.
let's do it. We hope to see a lot of you guys there, and we're going to have an amazing time. I know they lost and it took a little bit of the momentum out of the season, but we're still going to have fun, right? We're still going to go down. We're going to have fun the night before. Suter's going to be there. We are still trying to make another last minute guest happen, but Steve Suter right now is the confirmed guest. We're going to be at the tailgate with everybody on Saturday. And after the event on Friday, we're going to go hang out in Charlottesville somewhere too. Maybe we'll hang around the winery for a while. Who knows? We're going to be spontaneous. You guys come say hi to us. So we're going to have a good time all weekend. You guys come join us. Also, by the way, please give us a like and a subscribe on our YouTube channel. And we'll be back we'll be back Friday. That's the next time.
If you're there, you got to be there.
I know you guys said you didn't want to live stream it, but I want to try to live stream it. You don't want to do that?
Larry's going to try and live stream it for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe we'll try and live stream Friday night. If not, the next live show we'll do is next Wednesday.
I mean, Larry live streamed the Lacrosse Final 4 tailgate.
I did.
Yeah. He's got a problem.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Hey, we have
Larry's a party. Channel. Larry's fun.
Yeah, let's not. Hey, Paul, how many pictures were sent of me during the tailgate last week? Like, it's crazy. People were sending Jeff pictures of me, and then Jeff was sending them to our group text. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. Larry's like, somebody sees Bigfoot in the wild, and they're just like, snap.
Larry, Jeff.
It's Larry from IMS Radio. Local celebrity Larry France.
It does feel like that a little bit.
Come buy a Subaru today at Bob's Subaru in Reisterstown.
I got some buddies who are professional voiceover artists. I could do that. All right. Thank you guys very much. It's IMS Radio. Hopefully we'll see you guys Friday night. If not, then we'll see you guys next Wednesday. This is IMS Radio.